any direction at any moment's notice and generate power and then be able to stop, okay? So what does that look like for me? Like when I shoot, hips slightly back, knees over toes, shoulders are relaxed, chest is a little bit forward, right? And I can basically, anything you ask me to do here, I can jump, I can land, I can cut to the side, I can go forward, and I can go backwards, right? Anything in this, from this stance is kind of where you want to be. And then how that translates into your shooting is now you have a good base of support. If you need to add pressures, you can, but if you need to move, you still can, right? Does that make sense? So you don't want to be, like a lot of shooters are like this. If you can get good doing that, that's fine. But I think a good beginner reference point with stance is kind of be in that athletic stance, maybe one foot slightly in front of the other. We're going away from the bladed, like what guys used to do with this kind of thing. We're going away from that. That's not the most optimal way to shoot a gun in a martial arts sense, because if you're just standing still shooting a target, yeah, that's fine. But the problem is that if you have to move and shoot, that's not where you want to be.
Put these in your dump.
Okay? Grip. What do we all think a good grip is? Okay, that's very specific.
Where do you come up with the 60-40 from? I'm just want to understand why you think it's 60-40.
Yeah, that's a good way to, yeah. I mean, so 60-40 is what a lot of people use.
I wouldn't put it by percentages. I would put it by like, so for instance, you're going to require, you have a Glock 19? You're going to require way more input on the gun than her Staccato or my open gun, or you have a Canic? Or his Canic. You have one of the smallest guns possible, so you're going to definitely need some input. Now, should your input, so this is, I mean, I'm kind of getting a little too far, but your input should not dictate driving the gun below, like, so if you're aiming dead center of that green paster, if your dot is dipping below the green paster, that's too much input. Normally, obviously, we're going to see the dot's going to go up and it's going to track back down. So everything else that you're doing, so if it's tracking over to the left or it's falling down below the green paster, you're putting too much input on the gun. Each gun is going to require a different amount of input, because you're not going to require the same input on that Glock 19 as this 3-port Glock 17. You're just not. It's way different. The recoil is different. The feel is different. Everything's going to be different about it. So the amount of input that it requires can be more than 60-40, but it's up to you to figure that out. I can't tell you where that is, but rule of thumb is, what we worked with you last time is how much grip is, that's where you should start, and then put more pressures in where you need to. Now, should you squeeze more with your primary hand? No, you should always relax that hand as much as you possibly can. Like, I think we used the beer can grip with you last time, or the soda can, yeah. So keep that in mind, keep that grip as firm as possible, like soda can, and then use this for input, right? And then we showed you ways to do it, and that's up to you to figure it out. I can't hold the gun for you while you're shooting. I wish I could, but I can't. So, but also I want to go back into more with grip and why we could demonstrate why you don't want to stand up like this. Do we think this is a good shooting position if you're standing up like a giraffe? No, right? Why? Why do we think that? Why is this not good? What else? Okay, what else? Think of a stage, think of on a stage. So you shot the competition last week. Why would you not want to come into like a position and stand up like this? Yeah, you need to be able to explode out. And then also when you're coming in,
and
you're not going to come like this and stand up, right?
When you watch guys, like, I don't know if you guys watch the NFL Combine, right? Like, how are they, when they have to do like a 5-10-5 drill, how are they moving, right? Like they're low, like what's a sports car, super low to the ground. So when you're coming in and out of positions, you need to be low, but then when you come back up, like it's more one of those things where you need to be in a position where you can kind of do most things pretty well. Are there going to be times in, like, let's say, a shooting stage that you have to kind of dip really low and move side to side? Yeah, sure.
And you know that. You shot the stages. You've seen how low those port windows get.
Most of the time, most of your shooting is going to be done from a position like this, and you need to be able to change directions fairly quickly and stabilize the gun while moving.
What's the most important fundamental of shooting? Overall fundamental of shooting. Does anybody know? Besides grip, without stance, what is it? Consistency. Without it, you ain't gonna be shooting well. So like we could show you consistently bad grips and still put shots on target. As long as you're consistent with what you're doing, you should be okay. Yeah. Consistent with how your stance, consistent with how you're pulling the trigger, consistent with the amount of input on your gun, consistent with your grip, consistent how you draw the gun. Consistency runs it all. So if you're inconsistent and like for when we go shoot a stage, right? You'll get these like highs and lows of peaks. That's inconsistency when we're shooting a stage, and we don't like that. So like my mindset this year is to come into a stage and not, you know, not come in and try to shoot 100%, but, you know, come in and shoot 85% and then shoot 90% and then 87%. Be consistent with everything that you
throughout
do.
the day.
You know, you shouldn't be, you know, when we time you guys, you know, one of your draws should not be 1 second, and then every draw after that should be like 1.8. That's inconsistent.
Yeah.
So consistency is the name of the game.
Like what? Like so that's a perfect segue. So like, what's a good grip? Like, just like what is it? Like, use your words.
So as high up on the tang as possible.
That's optimal, right? Anything else?
What else?
Okay.
Well, not to say that you're wrong, but you don't want to overpower the gun. Yeah. I get you. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else?
I would just adjust that. You said your forearms. I would adjust that and say your elbows. Only because if you're squeezing with your fingers really hard versus applying pressure side to side, that's when things start to get yeah, exactly. And then what's a bad grip?
Yeah, what makes up a bad grip or a bad input? What's bad input?
Yeah. Over squeezing, right?
Well, what is the dot? What can the dot be doing bad? Like when you're holding a gun bad, what is the dot doing? I think that's a better way to do it. Yeah. So if your dot is going like, if we're all aiming here and the dot's going like this and then coming down here, is that good? No, you're putting way too much input on the gun. Now, if the dot's going here and then comes back here, is that good? No. What about here and then back?
That's what you want, right?
Well, you want it to track more straight up and down, you want that 11, 12, 1 o'clock area and not so much the 2. You don't want track to the side. Obviously, the gun's gonna go up and you're not gonna be able to stop that. There's nothing you can do to stop that. You don't want to track towards the shoulders. You want to track like towards the neck and then straight up and down.
Yeah.
No, you don't want to.
No.
The gun's gonna recoil regardless of what
we can do
how much
something.
input your gun's
We can
gonna
do
what it
something
needs to do.
where it's you don't use your grip to fight recoil. You use your grip to make the recoil consistent, right? You use your grip to make the recoil predictable. You don't use your grip to fight recoil. That's a losing battle because eventually you're gonna mistime it, and you're gonna drop your gun and you're gonna hit the dirt, right? Like you want to make it as predictable as possible, where you know what the dot's going to be doing and it's doing this, and you can go bang, 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 and you don't have to think about it. That's a good grip, right? That's a consistent grip, right? Like I can show you. Like let's go ears, right? Oop. Right? Is this a good grip? The teacup,
They
right?
can't see you. They can't see you.
Remember this? Remember that grip? Teacup, right? Is this a good grip?
Is that a good stance?
Right? Is that a good grip? No, it sucks, right?
Your stance sucks too.
My stance is terrible, right? Punched it all in the green, right? I'm gonna go no fingers on the gun. Right? Did I send any flyers? They're all in the green, right? What?
Should be good, right?
Is this a good grip? No, it's fucking terrible, right? The gun's moving around in my hand, right? Gun's moving around in my hand, right? Is that good? No. But what happened though? It's all in the green, right? So what is the difference between someone who has this thing and they're sending shots all over the fucking paper, and then me who's not even holding the gun properly and putting it in the green? What's the difference?
Consistency.
The grip's not changing as I shoot. So when people try to fight recoil and they're squeezing their gun and they're like, I gotta hold the gun straight, that's when all that shit happens. If you just have a solid grip and maintain it and don't change anything and it stays consistent, things become predictable. You know where your dot's moving. You can shoot faster, shoot more accurately. Okay? But that was a good point. You don't want to fight recoil. You want to make it predictable. Cool?